Yo yo yo, Yosef here, and today you join me on this glorious morning in southeast London at the Bethlem Royal Hospital, Parkrun. I absolutely loved this one. It was really quite small, had a real community feel to it. It was some of the friendliest volunteers I've had. So if you want to avoid the hustle and bustle of some of the busier parkruns around London, I would definitely be recommending this one. As always, I'll give a bit of a course overview. It's kind of a figure of 8 2-lap course, but just before we do that, there are two quite important things to get out of the way here at Bethlem Hospital. So first and foremost, this is a very strictly no dogs allowed parkrun. It's a functioning hospital, so dogs are not allowed. You may see some dog walkers around here, and you are allowed to walk your dog, but you need to register it with the administration. And for the parkrun itself, dogs are just not allowed. The second quite important thing is that the hospital grounds can be a little bit confusing. I would make sure that you arrive early. It is very well signposted and there are lots of volunteers around to help direct you to the right place, but just make sure you arrive early. So the course itself is very well marked out. You can just follow the perimeter of these two fields. I will speed up the footage in between, and then I will slow down at any corners where you might just need to pay attention to where you're going, but they are very well laid out. So just as we approach this right corner here, you'll see there is a volunteer, there is an arrow, and it's quite nice and clear on where to go. So we've just finished half of the first lap down this little narrow path, and then we're on to the second field, which we will loop around the perimeter. Let me know if this kind of speeding up very clear sections and slowing down for any corners and directions that you might need to pay attention to. Let me know if that kind of format works for you. I'll try a few different things. The alternative would be to kind of cut ahead every 30 seconds onto the next bit. You know, we could cut ahead to this next corner here, for example. We just need to try and keep these videos kind of around 10 minutes. So we're now 1 kilometre in, and you should be getting a nice feel for what the course looks like. It's all on this grass terrain. There is a huge difference in this course between winter and summer. So I will go through my usual kind of notes. For PB potential, I've marked this as low. It's quite undulating and uneven, but actually on a day like this where it's incredibly hot and dry, it's not too bad. The gradient's not too bad. But in winter, it is so incredibly muddy here. In summer, you'll definitely get away with road shoes. In winter, trail shoes are absolutely mandatory. I've even heard of people running around here in spikes. It gets incredibly muddy. So PB potential is very low over winter, but on a day like today, you might be doing decent. I reckon around a minute behind the fastest courses like Battersea and Dulwich. There are no pacers at this parkrun. And yeah, I've already talked about terrain and footwear. It's kind of this grass, it's very slightly undulating. There are some little divots that you have to be careful of. Road shoes or very light trail shoes in summer. Very muddy in winter. Other things that are useful to note, there are toilets here at the community centre, and there is also a cafe at the community centre. Do note that it is cash only at the cafe, so just bear that in mind. We're just finishing the end of the second field, so again you turn in left here, but it's very well marked out with the cones. Volunteers have done an absolutely great shout here. We've talked about dogs being strictly not allowed. Buggies are not recommended. On a day like today it's probably fine, but in winter, again, just so muddy, it's really thick mud, would not be recommending a buggy around this course. And finally, there is quite a bit of free parking here, so you should be able to find a spot, but as always, we'll try and recommend that you do public transport. There's a lot of bus routes that stop nearby. We've now finished the end of the second field, but we're still on the first lap, so you will turn right here. Go down this little path again, and you're onto the first field where you started, just to finish off the outside perimeter, and then you will be onto your second lap. I had some great advice from some runners at my club. They said that it would be useful to know kind of things to do in the area, or anything nice in particular. You know, you've travelled down for the parkrun, what do you do? What do you do afterwards? So one thing to do here is absolutely go and visit the Bethlem Museum of the Mind. It is located on site, and it says that it opens at 9:30, but I think it actually opens at 10. So somewhere between them. I would definitely go and recommend checking that out. It features like a real incredible art collection by former patients of the hospital, including Louis Rain and Richard Dadd. And yeah, it explores the history of mental health care. So if you've travelled down, I would strongly recommend that you go there. So we're just getting to the end of the first lap here. You'll see we go straight ahead for the first lap, and for the final shoot you will turn right and you'll have about a 200-meter sprint to the finish. I have a confession to make. There is no sprint finish today. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention to my pace or my heart rate here, but my heart rate is already above 190. I was struggling today. I'm not quite recovered from my illness, but I'm getting there, and it's just a nice reminder just to not always compare yourself to others or to yourself at your best fitness. I was flat out here, and it was 4 or 5 minutes behind my PB, and I still had such a great time. I felt so happy and lucky to be out running, not in pain. So yeah, just make sure that you're enjoying parkrun above everything else. Times and PBs will come, but you've got to just enjoy your Saturday morning. It's very easy to look at your time and look at your pace and think, oh, I ran this for a marathon and I'm struggling around a parkrun. I can't keep the same pace. Very easy to get frustrated, and you just need to remember health is important, mental and physical, so remember to look after yourself. Now, saying that, I do have a couple of videos that I still need to edit from a couple of races before I was ill. So there is some real racing to look forward to as well. Now, getting back to Bethlem Royal Hospital Parkrun, I mentioned making sure you get down to the Bethlem Museum of the Mind. There is also Croydon and Beckenham woodlands nearby, so if it's a nice day like it was on this day, you can go and take a peaceful stroll around there and stretch your legs a little bit further. As we are approaching the end of the second lap, I'd just like to ask you guys, I'm pretty new to this, so do let me know what works well, what doesn't work too well. If there's any kind of constructive criticism or feedback, I'm all ears. I will be slowly making my way around all 81 parkruns within the M25 and giving a bit of a course for you so that if you are heading that way, you can see what to expect. Again, loved Bethlem Royal Parkrun today. It was nice to head to a little bit of a quieter one after the madness of Tooting last week. Although saying that, I'm quite looking forward to getting to Bushy, which is just going to be crazy. So that will be in the next few months, I'm sure. Next week, I'm actually heading to my local, which is Lloyd Park Parkrun. If you saw my cross-country video, you'll have seen what that's like in winter, but hopefully it'll be dry today. I did just see this person, I was chatting to this person on the right at the start. They mentioned they were from Manchester, so I had to give them a shout out.
Go on, Manchester, well done.
Yeah, she mentioned she'd travelled down from Wythenshawe, so I hope she had a good time. But yeah, next week I will be at Lloyd Park. It's not quite my closest parkrun, but it's the next one along. And it's actually our mob match, so a load of runners from Striders of Croydon, my club, as well as Croydon Harriers, will be heading down. A little bit of a fun competition, so I will promise you that I will have a sprint finish at the end of that race. We are shortly coming to the end of this parkrun. We have about 350-400 metres to go from here, so if you are kicking for a PB, this is where you want to start thinking about it. You'll see the marshals up ahead shortly, so I will slow down, where you can see that you will peel off to the right for the final home stretch. Thank you if you've stuck with us this far. Let me know, again, just general feedback, anything you'd like to see, what works well, what could be improved. And yeah, perhaps I'll see some of you at Lloyd Parkrun or at one of the other 79 parkruns within the M25 that I am still yet to do. We get onto this nice little wooded area for the final 100-150 metre stretch. Enjoy. Look after yourself. Peace. GG.